In this video, we're going to take a look at the concept of a least common multiple or least common denominator. So we're going to start off by listing three numbers, and we're going to see if we can find the least common multiple. Well, the least common multiple is the smallest value that 4, 12, and 24 will go into evenly. So the least common multiple is going to be the smallest thing that 4, 12, and 24 will go into evenly. So let's start out by listing the multiples of 4. So 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 3 is going to be 12, 4 times 4 is going to be 16, 5 times 4 is going to be 20, and 6 times 4 is going to be 24. Well, you know, it looks like we can stop right there because I notice here's our 12, here's our 4, and here's our 24. So that tells me that the smallest value that 4, 12, and 24 will go into evenly is going to be 24. Okay. Let's do another one. So let's do 12, 30, and 60. Well, let's start off with our multiples of 12. So 12 times 1 is 12, 12 times 2 is 24, 12 times 3 is 36, 12 times 4 is 48, and 12 times 5 is going to be 60. Okay, alrighty. And let's do our multiples of 30. So we're going to do 30 and then 60. Well, hold on a second here. So there's 60 and there's 60, and of course here is 60. So the smallest number that 12, 30, and 60 will all go into evenly is going to be 60. So let's do another one. So we're going to try 2, 7, and 21. So the smallest value that 2, 7, and 21 will go into, we might want to factor each one of these values. So when we factor 2, 2 is just 2 times 1, and then 7, of course, is just 7 times 1, and then 21 is going to be 3 times 7. Well, our least common multiple or least common denominator is going to have all of the factors of these three numbers to the greatest number of times that is used in any one. So our least common denominator is going to have a 2, it's going to have a 3, and it's going to have a 7. So when we multiply those together, 2 times 3 times 7 is going to equal 42. So 42 is the smallest value that 2, 7, and 21 will go into evenly. So let's try 15, 30, and 105. Okay. So if we factor this, we're going to have, for 15, we're going to have 3 times 5. For 30, we're going to have 2 times 3 times 5, and for 105 we're going to have 5 times 3 times 7. So once again we're going to have all of these factors to the greatest number of times they're used in any one. So we're going to have a 2, we're going to have a 3, we're going to have a 5, and we're going to have a 7. So when we multiply these together, we're going to get 2 times 3 times 5 times 7. So 2 times 3 is going to give us 6 times 5 times 7. So 6 times 5 gives us 30. So 30 times 7 is 210. So in our next example, we have 24 and 108. So let's factor 24. So that's going to be 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. So 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, times 3 is 24. So that's going to be our first one. Then 108 is going to be 2 times 2 times, let's see, so that's going to be times 3. So 2 times 2 times 3 gives us 12. So 12 times 9 is 108, so we need a couple more 3s. Let me check that and make sure that's right. So 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, and then 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. So 4 times 27 is 108. Okay, just checking behind myself. So we're going to need 2 to the third power because we have 3 2's here. And then we're going to need 3 to the third power. So we're going to have 8 times 27, which is going to give us 160 plus 56 is going to be 216. So our least common multiple would be 216. Now let's try 25 and 625. Well, 25 is going to be 5 times 5, and 625 is going to be 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. So our least common multiple, therefore, is going to be 5 to the fourth, which is 625. So now let's try 24, 80, and 108. So when we factor 24, which we already have over here, so we've already factored 24 and 108. So we're going to put down our 2 to the third times 3. Yes, this is 2 to the third times our 3. Then our 108 is going to be 2 to the second times 3 to the third, and we get that from over here. So now we're left with 80. Well, 80 is going to be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. So that's going to be 2 to the fourth times 5. Then bringing down our others, we have 2 to the third times 3, and 2 squared times 3 cubed. So once again, we're going to need all of the factors to the greatest number of times that they're used in any one. So we're going to need 2 to the fourth. See, this one has 2 to the fourth. We're going to need 3, but we're going to need 3 to the, third, because this one has 3 3's. And we're going to need a 5 to go with it. Well, 2 to the fourth is going to be 16. 3 to the third is going to be 27. And then times 5. So we're going to have a little multiplication to do here. So I'm going to multiply 16 times 5, and I'll get 80 times 27. So our least common multiple now is going to be 2,160. So as you can see, doing the prime factorization can really help you, because if you were trying to just guess at that number, I think you would have a tough time guessing at 2,160. Or at least I would. So that concludes our example on prime factorization and finding the least common multiple or least common denominator. Thank you for watching.